Hi, it's Dee Dee from Healthy Hearing Loss. Today I want to share the joys of not wearing my hearing aid. It's also known as hearing aid holiday, which you take them out, you put them off to the side. I know they're whistling. I'm really sorry. Let's put them back in. That way I'll be able to listen to my dogs barking. Hearing aid holidays. Oh, it's fantastic. I wear my hearing aids every single day throughout the day, and I listen to many different devices through Bluetooth directly to my hearing aid. I'll listen to my iPhone, which has audiobooks, podcasts. I'll listen to conference calls. I'll listen to music. I'll use my iPad as well to watch YouTube videos and practice that way directly streaming to my hearing aids, teach community yoga on my iPad, constantly listening, desktop computer, which is an iMac, to listen to online, virtual, live stream recording for educational sessions. Listen to my surroundings while I'm driving, walking, running, hiking with my dogs. And of course, you got to listen to your friends, your family members, and coworkers. So essentially, I am on all the time, listening to a lot of stuff, probably starting about 7 o'clock in the morning and going all the way to about 9:30 at night until I take my hearing aids out. And that is bliss. And let me tell you why it is bliss to take out my hearing aids. The first thing is that is a lot of sensory overload when you're listening to a bunch of different devices, family members, work, environment, that type of thing, and you get that sensory overload. And your brain is like, I take them out and it's kind of like, I can stop listening and my brain gets to take a little bit of rest. I will also take out my hearing aids on the weekends and sometimes after work to kind of focus and concentrate by getting rid of distractions like noises that are happening around me so I can just stay focused. A few things I like to do that for is when I am writing, I like to really focus on my penmanship, take my time and write down my thoughts and the feelings. And if I'm being distracted by noise, I am too distracted, I won't know what my feelings or thoughts are. So that's one area where I will take my hearing aids out. Another area is when I am drawing. I like to get into that zone and I don't like to have noise. So I will be able to tap into my creative side, get rid of the sounds around me so I am right in that zone. I also like to practice yoga on my own. I develop my own practices to teach for my community yoga classes. It gives me that ability to focus on my body and think of the language of how I'm going to communicate by cues for people to get into positions or asanas. And so I like to do that without my hearing aid. Love to do silent meditation, and that really allows me to go within and try to forget the whole world around me without being distracted and really breathe and anchor into my breath and thoughts, that mind-body connection. I also like to read without my hearing aids from time to time because it allows me to focus on what I'm reading and not be distracted by noise. And then there's sleep. I take them out because I don't want my hearing aids pushing into my canal and pressing I have the behind the ear, so that could press against my skull. So I don't like wearing my hearing aids. It gets rid of the background noise and I won't be woken up by subtle sounds in the environment. The only thing that's not good about that is that I will not hear any sound. It's not even the loudest sound will reach me. I won't hear my dogs barking. I won't hear anybody in the house. So therefore, I have an alarm system so I can feel nice and safe and sleep like a baby. And wearing my hearing aids throughout the day occludes or obscures the canal itself. And it doesn't allow for air to get into the canal, allow that natural process of the earwax to harden and fall out. But actually what the hearing aid does is that it occludes it and keeps the ear canal moist. So then the earwax gets kind of soft. It's very easy to clog up the holes in the hearing aids themselves. And then taking my hearing aids out gives me the opportunity to look inside my ear and see if there's any wax that I need to clean out. And how I do that is I use the Ear View MD. This was actually recommended on Dr. Cliff AUD YouTube channel, and I was able to purchase it. And here it is. It's a little camera that looks inside your ears. And so when you look inside your ears, I will look to see if there's any wax, and then I will go ahead and clean my ears. Now, I use the elephant ear cleaner, and I use it because I know how to use it. I'm a medical professional, so I use this in my own clinic. If you do decide to purchase this thing or anything like it, and you want to attempt to clean your ears by yourself, I would first go to your audiologist and let them clean it. It will be safer and you won't perforate your eardrum. And definitely don't want to use these. Q-tips are not good because they basically push the earwax back into your ear and go towards your eardrum and essentially will occlude it and make things a little harder to hear. But also you could hurt yourself. You could hurt your eardrum. You don't want to do that. So go to the audiologist if you find earwax. Or if you don't have this thing, go to the audiologist and they'll clean it up for you. But they'll also find out if there's something else going on. And taking out my hearing aids gives me the opportunity to clean my hearing aids. And you can clean them with these guys. This is a cerumen, I don't know what these little sticks are called, but they have these little black things in there. And then when you take it out, it has a little white tip on the end. Hopefully you can see that. It's a screen. It essentially keeps out the wax from going inside your hearing aid. And this is how I do it with my hearing aid. This is a pretty dirty hearing aid, so I'm demonstrating this so that you'll see how to do this. So excuse me for the dirty hearing aid. So at the very end, you see that little white thing at the end. You're going to take it without the right on the tippy thing, this little stick thing, and you're going to stick it in there and remove that screen, and then you flip it around for the clean screen and you put it in there and you voila, have it in your hearing aid. The other thing I like to do is with this guy, it has a little sort of wire thing at the very end, and this guy is what cleans my ear vent. I have a little hole at the very end, so you see the other side from that white piece. There's a little hole, and it goes all the way to the other end to this side. And I will go ahead and stick this little wire thing right inside that hole, and you will see it come from the other end. And you essentially have cleaned the end of that, and you clean the air, the wax out of the hole itself. So that will allow for air to go in and out. This is a very tiny hole, so it does not keep my ear dry. It just it helps with the occlusive effect, which that makes it feel like you have a kind of a suction in your ear. But anyway, that's what I like to do. So there's a couple of things of why I love to take my hearing aids out, give my hearing a rest, also to let my ears dry and clean them out if I need to, as well as clean my hearing aids. There's also a caveat to everything when it comes to hearing loss, and that is auditory deprivation. And what is that? When you take your hearing aids out, it results in the brain being deprived from sound, which leads to difficulty for your ears to process sounds around you. And that connection between the hearing pathway goes to the nerve to the brain. It's not communicating as well as it should if you wear hearing aids. And then when you put your hearing aids back in, there is an adjustment phase. Now your brain has to relearn the hearing aid and the sounds and all that kind of stuff. I'm sure all of you have heard the phrase use it or lose it. And so that's when you take your hearing aids out for long periods of time. That is what's happening. Your brain starts to diminish. And when that part of your brain, the auditory part of your brain, is not being used, it will actually shrink a little bit, which is what they call atrophy. Don't use it, you lose it. Let me give you some analogies to kind of put that into perspective. You remember when you were drawing as a kid, you made a tree or a house or something, and you got good at it after you drew it a few times. Then you started making smiley faces on your mom and dad and all that kind of stuff, and you made little kitties. And then you stop drawing for a period of time. And then when you're an adult, you decide you're going to start to draw again. This is something that's happening to me right now. I used to draw a lot when I was a kid, and now it's like I'm learning all over again. So I didn't use it all those years, so I lost the ability to progress. I have to kind of go back to the beginning. Another way is me journaling. I am writing in my journal to keep my penmanship good, because there's a time that my penmanship became like squiggles. I couldn't even read my own writing. So now I'm trying to improve that. trying to strengthen that connection between my hand and my brain. It also helps me with spelling instead of going on a document and allowing the computer to autocorrect. And so I'm learning to spell more appropriately. And then, of course, there's more analogies like playing basketball. I used to play a lot as a kid and didn't do it for many years. And then coworkers want to play after work. And I'm like, I don't even know how to hold a ball. And then riding a bicycle. If you haven't been on a bike for a long time and you go on, you're a little wobbly. And then over time, you start to build your momentum and your brain and coordination seem to communicate better. That's what it means by allowing the brain to communicate with whatever you're doing, but you have to do it repetitively. You have to do it over and over again, become a habit, and then you have a strong connection. So those were the analogies, but I'm going to apply this to my hearing, my own hearing. I've been wearing hearing aids for a very long time, since I was 2 years old, and I have a severe hearing loss on my right side and profound on my left side. So I am diagnosed with severe to profound sensory neural hearing loss. I decided at one time that I wanted to try the phonic cross, which I have right here. These are an old pair of hearing aids that I do not wear right now, but I am going to explain something about these. This is a real hearing aid, a true functioning, programmable hearing aid. It's a pretty strong hearing aid. It has the body, which is the behind the ear, and then I have the in canal, which is also part of my hearing aid. And this was to my right ear so that I could hear everything in my right ear. The other side is a fake hearing aid. That's the way I look at it. But it's behind the ear portion, but it's just a transmitter. So essentially, it takes all the sound in the environment and brings it to the big hearing aid, to the real hearing aid. So I essentially got all the sound in my environment in one ear. My left ear that had the transmitter was no longer functioning as a hearing aid, so I wasn't hearing and connecting sound from outside to my brain any longer. I had this little dome at the very end of it, so it allowed air to get in there and allowed sound to get in there. But because my hearing is profound on that side, loud noises were very, very, very faint to me. So I did not use my left ear for many, many years, and it is not functionable, not as well as it used to be. Then I progressed to getting 2 real hearing aids for both ears now. So I'm wearing 2 of them right now. I have full hearing aids in my right and left ear. So what I noticed when I started wearing both hearing aids over time is that I was still relying on my right ear to hear everything. And I thought this was useless. My left side was useless. And so I sometimes would just take it out because I was like, why bother? I mean, I might as well keep it open and get a lot of air so I don't have to clean it as much, because I'm lazy. But I said, you know what? There is some research that says if you don't use hearing like we talked about, it's going to atrophy, meaning that it's just going to shrink away. And I didn't want that. So I wanted to try to see if I could restore the hearing in my left ear. The brain is very flexible and it's going to be different from person to person. And this is where we get into the neuroplasticity of the brain, which can rewire and reprocess new pathways into the brain. And I wanted to kind of be a subject to that. I wanted to be one of those part of statistics that says, yes, it does rewire. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to wear my hearing aid all the time to see if it makes a difference. And of course, initially, it didn't make any difference. And then suddenly I started to realize that things seemed to be fuller. It was a little bit more, I think that's the only word I can come up with, is that I had more of a surround sound that was fuller and more rich. And so I thought, oh my goodness, I wonder if this is part of my brain's reconnecting to lack of hearing on my left side. So that connection, I believe, in my experience, has actually improved in my left ear by wearing a hearing aid. And I hear things and understand things, speech, music, sounds, words, everything much better when I'm wearing both hearing aids. Audiologists and researchers say that you should be wearing your hearing aids most waking hours. And the only time you take your hearing aids out is when you go to sleep or when you're involved in activities that include a lot of water, like showering or swimming or even running and getting a lot of sweat, because you don't want to get a lot of moisture or water in the hearing aid because it could malfunction. If you have waterproof hearing aids or those invisible hearing aids, then you're okay. But otherwise, somebody like me, I can't get wet like that. Now, there are some studies that say if you do not have your hearing loss treated with hearing aids, there's a lot of people out there in their 50s or 60s that do not recognize they have hearing loss, or they'll deny it, or they don't want hearing aids, whatever. It takes up to 10 years before they'll actually realize it, accept it, and get treatment for hearing aids. But the longer we wait without getting hearing treatment, the risk of dementia and depression. When I think about doing the things that I do and I take out my hearing aids, that is alone time for me. And that's that time for me to rejuvenate and do the self-care or activities I like to do. It's different than being lonely. In the sense, you take out your hearing aids and you leave them out and you go on to your business or you do your normal things without hearing aids. Over time, you may start to feel lonely because you're not connecting with other people, you don't feel as included, and so forth and so on, and that can lead to depression. So if you have hearing aids, make sure you wear them as much as possible, but know the difference between lonely and alone time. That's in my opinion anyway. Now, if you want to improve your hearing, your auditory processing, they call it aerotherapy or, auditory rehabilitation, those types of things. You can go and seek out a professional and they'll help you get through that, or you can just train your ears at home. There's some apps on the phone. I have yet to find an app that has auditory game training that I like or that I could recommend, but I can recommend listening to audiobooks, podcasts, music, use your Zoom meetings on there. Anything that will help you understand and process sound. It's important to understand the frequencies of men and women and children's sounds. So whatever you can expose your ears to, the stronger that connection between the hearing and the brain will be. Now, another caveat for me is meditation, guided meditation. I love guided meditation, and I would love to use guided meditation to help me go to sleep. But I can't because I have to take my hearing aids out, or I want to take my hearing aids out. That is why I practice silent meditation during my alone time, because that will allow me to meditate before I go to sleep and I can relax and go into my la-la land. Final thought. Yes, I agree with research that says it's best to wear your hearing aids most waking hours and to take them out when you're doing activities that might hurt your hearing aids or hurt you, like sleeping and showering, swimming. I definitely agree with exercising the ears and making that pathway strong and sharp to your brain and avoid getting dementia by listening to audiobooks, podcasts, and anything on your phone that you can. But I also believe that making the most out of not wearing your hearing aids to strengthen your concentration, your focus, and allow you that freedom to tap inside and kind of figure out how you're feeling, what you're thinking, and improve your writing skills, your spelling skills, and all those type of things. But I do believe that if you take your hearing aids out, make sure your environment's safe so that you can do whatever you're doing, whether it's sleeping or your alone time, to do it with ease. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button and the bell notification so you know about my next video coming up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for stopping by. Take care. Bye.